Oh, Timmy, what have you done? Hello and thank you for clicking on this video where I'll be sharing my thoughts on Dunu and Gizaudio's collaboration. This is the Davinci, which houses 2 dynamic drivers and 4 balanced armatures. This is Timmy's 3rd IEM collab release, but a first with Dunu, and when I heard he was going to be collaborating with Dunu, I was honestly terrified of what the price may be, but imagine my surprise at the $299 price tag for a 6-driver IEM. And to put that into context, the SA6 Mark II is also a 6B8 driver IEM that's coming in at 2 times the price. So it'll be very interesting to explore what this IEM is bringing to the table. But before we begin, if you could help support the channel by dropping a sub and hitting that like button on this video, that will really help the channel a lot and it will help with purchases like these. And yes, I did purchase this IEM in full with my own money, but as with any other videos, I'll provide my honest feedback and experiences. So let's talk about unboxing, because Dunu has always been known to be one of the best accessory givers in the IEM space, and the Davinci did not disappoint. As you've seen through the intro, opening the box you'll be greeted by the IEMs themselves, and it also comes with a carry pouch, and inside this carry pouch stores the cable, and it also comes with 3 sets of interchangeable ear tips. It also comes with a cleaning tool and a 3.5 to 6.4mm conversion. For the ear tips, it has a typical silicone ear tip set, another set of silicone ear tips which they are calling it the candy ear tips, which have many different colors, and one of my favorite ear tips to use for IEMs, Dunu's SNS ear tips. Let's talk about the pouch for a second, because the pouch looks great and compact, but I feel it's a little bit too thin in its depth, and with how stiff the cable is and that band in the pouch in the middle, I just feel like it's pressing hard on the IEMs and the cable. So I tend to go with slightly bigger cases for the Davinci, but it all comes down to personal preference. Speaking of cables, Dunu always makes really solid cables, and the cable that came with the Davinci is no exception. There's a bit of a gunmetal look to it with a little bit of metallic shine. It's a bit on the stiffer side, but it feels really solid and sturdy. The terminations, pins and chin strap look and feel really premium, and best of all, the terminations are interchangeable and they provided you with a 3.5 and 4.4mm termination. No 2.5mm, but at this day and age there's really no need for that anymore, so good move there. To swap the terminations, you'd have to unscrew it so that you can pull out the terminations and swap it to your desired option. There's a groove for you to line up and also an arrow to help with lining it up, and once that's all in, just screw it back to make it extra secure and you're good to go. What can I say? Apart from effect audio cables, I really like Dunu cables as well. In terms of the design of the IEMs themselves, with wood face plates, I'm sure majority will say their face plates are one of the best ones because it's going to be different for everyone. So for my personal unit, I essentially got the Harvey Two-Face version, where the right faceplate looks really nice and vibrant, whereas the left, it looks a little ashy, sort of like the dried up part of the bark or something. I definitely like one faceplate more than the other, but I like the fact that it kind of gives each side its own identity. The Dunu logo in silver is in contrast with one side than the other, and I'm surprised there's actually no logo of Gizaudio on the shell, so it's just the Dunu branding with left and right indication on the shell. The shell design is the smoky translucent finish, where it gives you a peek of the drivers but never fully revealing it. The shell on the IEMs are surprisingly on the larger side, so it's got a bit of a size to it. Just bringing up the Gizaudio Monarch Mark III as a comparison, is coming real close in terms of size, but there's more contours on the Monarch Mark III to help it sit on your ears, but it's more rounded on the Davinci. But in terms of fit and comfort, despite looking chunky, I actually don't have much issues with fit and comfort. For me, the Dunu SNS tips does push the IEM out a little bit, but it keeps the IEM from applying any undue pressure on my ears. Now that's all out of the way, let's dive deeper to the sound. I know Timmy loves his vocals, so coming from his first release, which was the Let's Sure Galileo, I'm actually surprised at how much bass was provided to the Davinci, and personally, I love how the bass sounds on the Davinci. If this was based on the feedback of people, then it shows that generally people like a little bit of bass to their sound presentation, and the bass from the Davinci just adds that lush, warm sound. There's impact and slam, there's a lot of weight to the notes, there's enough sub bass coming in from the deep end to add a bit of texture and depth to the bass presentation. If anything, I feel the lower to mid regions are where the Davinci shines. The vocal notes just sound rich and full. It's a joy to hear, and I feel it became the star of the show, but it still doesn't take the spotlight away from the singer. Timmy likes vocals, Timmy brings vocals, but this time with a little bit of oomph for accompaniment. The lower regions gives the whole presentation a bit of body and a solid foundation, but if anyone prefers a lean mid-range presentation, something like the Variations might find the bass on the Davinci a little too much for them. And I have heard this from people's feedback, and I get it, but at the same time, if anyone wants some bass to their sound, the Davinci will warm your soul. The overall presentation is also on the intimate side, but there's enough distance between you and the music that it doesn't sound shouty, but everything else on the frequency lends itself to this type of presentation. So you feel like you're one-on-one with the singer or in a private room rather than feeling like you're out in the open. The Davinci also sounds relatively smooth to my ears. It retains some of the highs to break through the amount of bass it has, but maintaining control that it doesn't sound too thin or shrill. However, it does gradual down towards the treble extension, so air instruments like trumpets sound like they're being held back a little bit. It's missing that sharp and open sounding profile that's often associated when this area of the frequency is raised, but with how it's being tuned, it also lends to the smooth sounding nature of the Davinci. Imaging of the Davinci is really nice. You can hear everything that is happening in the left and right channel. There's macro details coming through the sound, however bass details are coming through as well, and with that, the micro details does tend to get lost amongst all of that. So it's not the final word when it comes to resolution, but all in all, just a nice, smooth, warm, full sounding presentation as a whole. Also in terms of ear tips, I've also had the best experience with Dunu's SNS ear tips when it comes to bringing out bass presentations. So if that's something you want to reduce, you can swap ear tips to the standard silicone ear tips, but it won't deviate too much from its sound signature. So there's another IEM that I've owned for a long time, but I've never talked about in a video yet, and it's actually one of my reference IEM at this price point, and it carries the same price tag as the Davinci, which is the Audio Hakili, and that is a 1DD and 7BA, while the Davinci is carrying 2DD and 4BA. So how do they compare? Simply put, if you prefer your vocals to take center stage, Davinci takes the spot. The Audio Hakili has a bit of brightness to its sound profile, and the vocals and the background music share the same plane. And in terms of imaging and resolution, the Audio Hakili is coming in with a touch more attack. However, the Davinci is fighting back with a much richer and fuller note weight. The bass is great on both, but as I've said earlier, the fuller note weight from the Davinci gives it a bit more meat and warmness compared to the Audio Hakili. It's neck to neck and they both have their own strengths, and ultimately it comes down to your personal preference, and I find myself reaching for both depending on the mood, but if you're talking looks into account, there's no question who comes out on top. So comparing with another member of Dunu, the Dunu Falcon Ultra, which is coming in $80 cheaper with a single dynamic driver, and the bass from the Falcon Ultra hits a little harder. It's more mid-bass focused and it's a lot cleaner, but the sub-bass from the Davinci gives the bass note a little bit more of that texture, and the technicalities and richness from the Davinci is a cut above. If you're all about bass pound and smoothness, then the Falcon Ultra would fit that criteria, but if you want just a little bit more coming from your music, the Davinci's got you covered. So to sum it all up, from the looks to its accessories to its sound, the Dunu and Gizaudio's Davinci has set the bar of what you're able to receive at this price point. And if you love having a rich sounding presentation to your music with a lot of body and bass accompaniment while still having some details shining through, the Davinci is a no-brainer, especially at this price point. I'm honestly scared for the competition if ever Timmy decides to tackle on a flagship, because if he's bringing what the Davinci already has and give it a little bit more technicality, maybe give it a hair more space to accommodate all the details, it'll be another wipeout for whatever price category that IEM may be, if it's ever going to exist. But for now, the Dunu Gizaudio Davinci is a formidable IEM that many IEM will strive to beat for this type of presentation. Bravo Dunu, bravo Timmy. However, this is based on one man's opinions, and I'm curious to know yours. Have you gotten your Davinci yet? Share with me your experience in the comment section down below, and with that all said, thank you all very much for watching, and until the next experience, take care and happy listening.